Hello and welcome to a slightly different episode of Roto. Today I'm going to show you behind the scenes at my actual YouTube studio setup I have right here. Our last videos had a fair bit of interest and a few people have asked us what we use to make it and what equipment we use to make these videos. It's just a little behind the scenes look and I am literally going to film me filming me so you can see. So this is it, this is the setup, this is everything that I use to make these videos. We will start with the huge light. I have a rather large softbox, but we're using the very first product that I actually reviewed, which was the Godox SL60W. Wonderful video light. I bought it really just to be used on this channel. As soon as I knew I was going to take this seriously, I thought let's just give it a go. It's not that expensive for a studio video light, and I knew I had some other uses for it, so it was one of my first purchases. I think really, if you're going to set up a YouTube channel or a YouTube studio in any way, good lighting is always key. No pun intended. For a secondary light, I've got a very cheap softbox on a cheap little Yongnuo YN216. It's a great little secondary light. It's a little bit warmer than the Godox, and it's a nice light to have just for that extra light when I'm reviewing products on the table. Just helps to fill in any shadows and things like that. That may get upgraded as the channel moves forward, but at the moment I don't feel the need to do that. The huge monitor you can see in front of me makes it very easy to see what's in focus. The last couple of videos have certainly helped that. There's a few in the first videos where I noticed I was out of focus, and it's such a pain to go back and you can't really get the continuity again. So we recently purchased the lovely Benki monitor you can see in the background, and we've just done a review on that. So we had this old 4K monitor. I thought I'll just bring it in here, see how it gets on. It really gives me a lovely big screen so I can just see that I'm in focus and all things are going well. As you can see at the back, filming me as my main camera throughout all the YouTube videos is the Sony a7 III. It's a wonderful camera, but I wouldn't say you have to rush out and buy this camera or anything like it. It's just because I happen to have two for my main business as to why I have access and able to use them for this channel. Something else of note is the kitchen timer as we have it here. It's just a little something because my overhead camera, which I'll come to in a minute, only records in 27-minute intervals, and I have gone over that in one recording session before and it's been extremely frustrating. Audio, for audio I use the Tascam DR05. Again, this is a piece of equipment that I already owned. You don't need to have that. It does record a lovely sound quality. It's not something you must have. A nice microphone I recommend, but you could just mount it on the camera or as close to you as possible and it will still get you good audio. Good audio is important, but this piece of equipment isn't essential. But again, if you're hearing nice audio, it's because I'm using that along with, you can see the legs there, of the microphone stand which comes up, and just over our overhead cam I'm actually using the little Rode Video Micro. Now that actually is a fantastic piece of kit. I love the sound quality from it. You're hearing it right now, it's what you hear in all my videos. Absolutely love it. A superb little microphone. I actually have two. I have one up there and I have another one on top of our overhead camera. Now the one on the overhead camera is just used as backup, just in case for some reason the recording fails, I still have decent audio. Having that sound recorded does mean I get slightly better audio, but again, it's just great to have the backup if you can. Moving on to possibly one of my favorite little setups here is my overhead camera rig. Now, I use this for my product reviews. It's nice to just have that slightly different angle, just to change it up, just to make it a little bit different. You can get great view for unboxing, obviously on a nice white table, hence why I have the two lights and the camera on top, and it does eliminate a lot of shadows. And it's just nice to have that different angle when editing and putting it together. Try to increase my production value without spending too much money. The camera on my overhead rig is the Panasonic G7. Wonderful little camera, one of the first cameras I owned that would film 4K. I've had it for a couple of years and it mainly just sits up there now. When I need to take it with me, I will just pop it off this rig, but essentially it sits up there and records a lovely 4K image for me, and it uses a 14mm 2.5 prime lens, the Panasonic Lumix one. It's a nice little pancake lens. It's quite fast, it gives you a lovely image, keeps the camera nice, light and small so it can hang on this overhead rig. And being a 2x crop, that's equivalent to a 28mm. So this image now, what you are seeing from the camera is with an equivalent 28mm. Absolutely lovely little secondary camera. So the other main part of this set, being the overhead rig, is the structure that I put together to hold the G7. I didn't want a large C-stand, I didn't want anything on a boom arm, I was wondering that it would topple over. So I managed to put this together, and I kind of thought of it myself. I'm probably not the only person to have thought of it, but it's something I'm quite proud of. The whole kit come in at about £83 and some pennies, which is under $100. It's a very good, secure, safe way, I think, to have your camera up in the air. It's not likely to topple over. It's been here now for 3 months and it hasn't moved. Now the parts I used for this were all purchased through Amazon. I'll put a link down below now, but just to tell you, so we have 2 light stands and a long, heavy-duty extendable crossbar. It doesn't need to be an extendable crossbar, but I went for a heavy-duty one. The fact that it's extendable just means that I can move the light stands in and out if need be, but to be honest, now they're in place, it just means I can have them at the perfect space. So that gives us our overhead structure, and then it is just a case of attaching the camera to it and getting that into position. Now there were actually 3 parts used to form this. The first one you can see there is a multi-functional heavy-duty 2.5-inch grip head, which actually is for mounting. It's a mounting adapter for most light stands, extension boom arms, and all sorts of photographic equipment really. Just in the middle there, before we get to the tripod head, is just a little spigot. It's a 1/4 to 3/8 inch metal converter threaded screw adapter. It just means that you can connect it to the holes that come with the actual heavy duty head and connect it to the tripod head. This tripod head is a very cheap 360-degree newer metal with a 1/4 inch quick release plate. Is exactly what I needed. It can just be moved about, but now it's in position, it doesn't need to move at all. And as you can see from the side, that's what it looks like. It actually comes out a little bit, which is quite nice. It just means that the overhead bar is closer to the actual camera, and therefore you just get to see a nice clean image. So the only other pieces of note are the tables and a PC chair. It's a cheap PC chair that I actually had kicking around, £20 new I think they are, and 2 IKEA tables, just 2 very simple office tables from IKEA. The gap you have in the middle there is on purpose, and I found out the hard way that whenever I would touch the table, it would knock the boom arm, which would knock the microphone, which would give feedback, and that was a real pain. But that's essentially it. You don't need to have all this gear. I'm lucky that I can use this for my day job and I get to do this for fun and have access to all this equipment. I really hope it's been of interest, just showing you how I've set it up. I'm very pleased with what I would call a budget DIY overhead rig. It's really sturdy, it's really good. There's a tiny bit of flex in the crossbar, but it is a heavyweight one and it has not moved in the 3 months that I've had it. So I can highly recommend it, and if you're looking for an overhead rig for your YouTube channel at under $100 or under £100, totally worth it. There's a lot more videos coming to the channel, a lot more creative ones. We've got a special coming in the next 2 weeks about Tamron lenses, or vintage Tamron lenses I should say, using them on a modern body, an A7 III from 2018, and actually adapting them and using them and seeing what they look like, especially with video. So do stay tuned for that. Please do like and subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell notification to be kept informed of any future videos. This really was just a little sneak peek behind the scenes of exactly how I've got my setup. I'm sure it will evolve and I'm sure it will change, but for now this is what I use and I'm really pleased with the results that I get. I know that I'm lucky enough to have a studio like this that I can use, but just taking some of these things that I've showed you today into your own YouTube videos will increase the production value, just make you stand out. I think that's the main thing. The only downside to a setup like this is you do actually get to see this ugly mug even clearer than normal. Thanks again for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this little look around. The studio tour is something else that's been mentioned, and if enough of you do want to see it, then I will do a full studio tour. What you see here and behind me isn't even half the studio, so it's certainly something we can have a little look around if it's of interest. Again, that's enough from me for now, so I will catch you in the next one. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Roto. Hello and... Hello, welcome to a little different episode, which has been a wonderful addition to my own editing, blah, 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 blah. But my notes do help just with a little review when I can't think of what to say, just like now. I don't even know what I'm going to say. This is why you need notes.